Have you ever caught yourself saying, "I'll be happy when I get that job, when I buy that house, when the weekend comes"? We spend so much of our lives waiting for the future that we treat the present like a waiting room, a dull, grey place we just have to endure. But what if you could trade those boring waiting room days for something better? What if you could skip the struggle and jump straight to the victory? Today's tale is about a man who was given that exact choice, a man who found a way to fast forward through the mundane, only to realize that he was sprinting toward his own end. This is the story of the merchant of unlived days. In the bustling city of Viridia, where the cobblestones were always slick with rain and the fog clung to the spires like a heavy coat, lived a young architect named Julian. Julian was brilliant, but he was perpetually exhausted. He wasn't tired from work. He was tired of waiting. He was working on the design for the great spire, a tower that would define his career, but the process was slow, grueling. Every day was a blur of drafting, redrafting, arguments with builders, and cold coffees. He found himself wishing his life away. If only it were next year, he'd mutter, staring at the rain. Then the tower would be built and I could finally rest. One evening, avoiding a particularly cold drizzle, Julian ducked into an alleyway he swore he'd never seen before. At the end of the cul-de-sac stood a shop with a sign that simply read, "Chrono's Curiosities." The windows were filled with hourglasses, but the sand in them didn't fall down. It floated up. Inside, the air smelled of ozone and old parchment. Behind the counter sat a figure cloaked in velvet shadows. The merchant. He didn't ask Julian what he wanted. He simply placed a small silver pocket watch on the counter. It had no numbers, only a single button. "For the impatient heart," the merchant rasped. "Press it, and you will skip the time you do not wish to endure. You will not age during the skip, but your body will go on autopilot. You will work, you will eat, you will sleep, but you, the conscious soul, will simply blink and arrive at the moment you desire." Julian was skeptical, but the temptation was too sweet. The next morning, facing a week of tedious paperwork, he touched the button. Instantly, the sunlight shifted. The pile of papers on his desk was gone. The coffee in his cup was fresh. He looked at the calendar. A week had passed. He had done the work, his signature was on the documents, but he had no memory of the boredom. He felt fresh, energized. It was a miracle. He began to use the watch for everything. Stuck in a carriage in traffic, arrived home, a dull family dinner with distant relatives. Dessert was served a cold winter month. Spring flowers were blooming. Years didn't pass for Julian. Moments did. He skipped the construction of the great spire. One blink, and he was standing at the ribbon-cutting ceremony, the applause washing over him. He felt the triumph, but he didn't remember the sweat it took to build it. He skipped the awkward early dates with a woman named Ilara and jumped straight to the honeymoon. He skipped the sleepless nights of his firstborn child and arrived at the child's first steps. Julian thought he was cheating the system. He was gathering all the highlight reels of life without sitting through the commercials. But he began to notice a hollowness. When he looked at his wife, he realized he didn't know why she smiled a certain way, because he had skipped the quiet Tuesday evenings where that smile was forged. A turning point came when his mother fell ill. The doctors said it would be a long, slow decline. Julian, terrified of the pain of watching her fade, reached for the watch. "I cannot bear the sadness," he whispered. "I will skip to the healing." He blinked. He was standing in a graveyard. It was raining. He looked down at the tombstone. It was his mother's. He hadn't skipped to her recovery. He had skipped to the end of the ordeal. He had missed her final words. He had missed the chance to hold her hand. He had missed the goodbye. Panic seized him. He tried to remember the last time he truly felt something raw, something real. He couldn't. His life was a collection of trophies with no stories attached to them. Desperate, Julian ran back to the alleyway. He found the shop, dustier than before. He slammed the watch on the counter. "Take it back!" he screamed. "I've lost everything!" The merchant didn't move. "You have lost nothing," the merchant said calmly. "You asked for the destination, and I gave it to you. You simply discarded the journey." "But I don't know my own life," Julian wept. "I don't know my wife. I don't know my son. I skipped the bedtime stories because I was too tired. I skipped the arguments because I was too angry. Those were the glue that held us together." The merchant leaned forward. "Time cannot be refunded, architect, but the watch, it can be broken." Julian smashed the silver device against the floor. Gears scattered like bone fragments. The magic broke. The weight of the years he had skipped didn't return, but the speed of the world slowed down. He walked out into the rain. It was cold, it was miserable, and for the first time in forever, Julian smiled. He felt the cold. He was finally present. The moral lesson in this story: Julian lived the rest of his days without skipping a second. He learned that the boring days, the sad days, and the hard days aren't just filler. They are the soil in which our character grows. You cannot have the view from the mountaintop without the climb that strengthens your legs. The moral is this: do not wish away your time just because it is difficult or mundane. The magic of life isn't found in the big moments of success. It is hidden in the quiet, ordinary seconds we are so desperate to rush through. If you fast forward through the rain, you will never understand the rainbow. I hope Julian's story reminds you to take a breath and look around you right now. Even if you're tired, even if you're waiting for something, you are here, and that is a gift. If this story made you think about how you spend your time, please let us know in the comments below. What is one boring thing in your life that you're going to try to appreciate today? If you enjoyed this tale, please like this video. It helps us share these stories with more wandering souls. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never skip a future upload. Until next time, keep living in the now.